Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Now, title: Competition is getting thin in gaming. Mystic, what do you mean? What's going on? So I definitely got to give a big shout out to Az and his channel, Heels versus Babyface. Good coverage as always, Az. So EA is going to be laying off 350 employees, but they didn't even call them employees. They just said roles. Um, in the letter, I was like, oh my God, oh my God. So, I just want to kind of give a perspective here. How bad public relations currently is in the gaming industry and how the consumers are perceiving the AAA companies. Because at the end of the day, it's always about the shareholder, right? Wrong. It's about the perception of the company, the integrity of the company. Because when bad publicity hits, guess what it does? You've just compromised the consumer's value or perception of you as an entity. So that means basically companies, AAA companies, listen the fuck up. God, you dumb fucks. Yet Blizzard, Activision Blizzard had record years, laid off 800 people. Battle for Azeroth didn't do so hot. They have nothing in the line for 2019. To say that their record year is going to be repeated is a stretch, to say the least. And what's made it worse is the bad publicity associated, right? Because now your loyal fan base are starting to lose faith. They're starting to have doubts. They're starting to be like, well, if they're laying off people and we have no games relatively coming out soon and our updates are looking like this, what hope is there? So it's looking bleak. It's looking apocalyptic for the gamers that are supporting these companies. And it's like, yeah, that's serious because now, you know, you're still putting money in the board. You know, the shareholders, you're still claiming that we're doing really good. We're doing excellent, everybody. But it's not enough because it doesn't meet our expectations. So we're going to get rid of a bunch of people. And guess what? Who gives a fuck what everybody else thinks of us? Like, who cares? Do we really care what the consumer thinks of us? Nah. Let it go. Let it go. You know, it's fine. It's all good. Just let it go. It's fine. Yeah. Let's believe that. Let's totally buy that. No. No. You don't do that. Because what ends up happening, you're trying to make things look good for this year for your, you know, your profit margins, right? Which is understandable. You know, because investors want to see gain, not loss, but at what capacity? That's not what's being asked by the executives. They're not looking at it in the whole capacity of asset to liability. You know, what's being invested, what's being in projection. Because projection plays a role to the gross profit, right? Now, if you miss by projections, that can happen. But what was the gain in comparison to the investment? Was there profit, right? Did you take a hit? You have to assess these sort of things before you decide to make a bad call that could reflect your public image. And I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't give a shit if nobody watches this video. But I will be honest with you guys. At the end of the day, it affects us as gamers. It affects us. I was having this conversation. I'm like, just with a personal friend of mine today. I'm like, the U.S. is behind in our infrastructure. You know, in our IP. We're one of the worst. Because I'm like, what do you know about, IP? You know, he's like, well, there's 5G coming out. I'm like, I rest my case. You just answered it for me. Thank you. 5G. We have everybody locally in the United States investing in 5G. He's like, is that bad? I'm like, compared to the fiber optic grid, yeah, that's bad. Because I'm like, no matter how you look at a Wi-Fi, it'll never compete with LAN. Never. Not as far as speeds go. Yes, Wi-Fi is good. 5G is not bad. I'm not saying it is. But when we're putting all of our eggs in that basket and we're not expanding on our internal pipeline, well, what's that say about the people who are behind the corporate executive decisions in America? When everybody else in the Asian market and majority of the European market are making these investments. Right? Because they know. They just know. It's, common sense would dictate. But guess what, guys? The U.S. corporate leaders of America, the corporate leaders of America don't need the common sense. Nah. It's overrated. It's overrated. I mean, what could potentially holding on to, I don't know, a grid like that would last 30, 40 years be worth 50, 60 years from now? You know? What kind of possible, investment is that for the future? I have no idea. I have no idea. It's just like, but it's sad. Because now we see the market, like, there are companies that's taking advantage of this. Whether it be indie, whether it be established, the larger companies are falling short of their own expectations, and instead of actually going ahead and reallocating the necessary components to make these changes more viable, they're abandoning ship. Right? They're just letting go. They're just saying, fuck it. We made our money. We made X amount of millions of dollars. We're not going to get any more. Time to let it go. Sink it. And other companies are like, yeah, cool. Your customers are becoming very, very frustrated. And guess where they're going? To the more reliable studios. To the more reliable companies. Continuing to produce quality products and still giving quality services. And where does that leave the consumer? Because I'll guarantee you know how many people have probably been scorned by Bethesda recently with Fallout? It was a Fallout. It was. You think everybody is saying they're not going to make that mistake with E6? That E6 is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be amazing. There's no possible way that E6 will crash and burn like 76 did. No way. No way. The pressure's on. The pressure is on. It's getting hot. It's getting really, really hot. Between last year, the end of last year, and what we're already dealing with in the beginning of 2019, It's getting pretty hot, ladies and gentlemen. And I guarantee you, we won't see a conclusion until probably end of summer, early fall. And we'll see how the cards fall where they may. Because we have a problem between the gaps. Communication is lacking. You're in a video gaming industry where everything is about production and communication, right? Everything's multiplayer. That has to deal with data communication, right? But they're failing to communicate between each department. So everything's getting lost in transition over and over and over again. You have the board's expectations. You have the executives trying to meet those expectations and then going ahead and dictating like a dictator what is going to happen to the creative team. Now, where does that put morale? Think about it now as a developer. You know, you're a developer. You used to love your job. You were creative. You were doing something so unique. But now it's like, if this doesn't meet expectations, you're getting fired. But what's that got to do with the developer? Now he's being told what he's got to do. He has no control. The control's been pulled out from underneath of him. He's just a cog in the machine. If something breaks down, they're not going to look at the functionality of the mechanics. They're going to blame the cog. Well, it was that cog. It didn't fit. Are you sure? Did you draw it up right? Yeah, it's the cog. Everybody's going to pass down the blame somewhere. So it's 350 people's fault at EA that the executives fucked up. Yeah. So it's 350 employees' faults or roles that EA execs fucked up. Okay. Now I guarantee you they're not downsizing or trimming the fat from those positions to really kind of, make that appealing to the, the investors, right? Or the shareholders. No, you can't do that. I need my millions of dollars a year. You can't take away a couple million from me. I know what we'll do. We'll get rid of the people who matter, who actually help produce our games. That'll make it right. That's why I get to keep my money. Thank you. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Like I said, we'll see. We'll see where the cards may fall. And I'll be honest, these are more U.S. companies, is the scary part. These aren't foreign companies. No. They're U.S.-based operations, majority of them. It's like, wow. This is very interesting. Very interesting. The gaming industry had a really good year last year, as a whole. Did really well. And like I said, some companies reported record-breaking years. If you were an investor and you had that X amount of money, you would be pretty happy or pretty foolish to think that you didn't make out last year. But how's that playing out for this year? Sometimes it's not the employees that's really costing you. It's not the consumers that's costing you. No. Sometimes it's the people behind the driving wheel making the calls that's costing you the most. And you would think the shareholders would recognize that and take control and say, you know what? We need to worry about one thing first, and that's the consumer. In order to do that, we need people producing quality product. We need to get back on track. We need to do what we need to do to be able to promote new games, to retain existing customers, and to set the example in the industry. Good luck. Good luck, companies. Don't worry, I hand you a shovel, but I think you're already dug in deep. Good luck. All right, I'm going to end this stream and we'll start another one. Once again, this is Mystic Raven. This is Mystic's MMOs. Thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.